like for real happening. Jesus Christ.
It is.
I get a little nervous there. But end of the day, me and Kirk, rest in peace, the internet. Because that's going to be a lot of arguments. So, because good Lord, I cannot. He's going to kill me if I give him teen sex comedies from the 80s. I know it. But
oh my God.
Oh my God. I just want to hear somebody argue the finer points of the fucking Porky Spoons.
No, yeah, 100%. I really want the titles back. At the same time, I think back last year, don't feel like we may have given Jake or Bill our best game.
And your winner and new champions, Ginyu Force, and your winner, and still.
I want a little thing.
And your winner!
And Boatman, all I have to say to the winner of your match is congratulations on being the champion. Koho and I are using this in teams.
Yeah, we are.
I didn't win the last one standing, but then I won the 5-way, and then I beat Scully, and then as Wookiee we beat Dummies, and Guns and Ships, and Duel of the Fates, and then I beat Albert. Maybe you should have waited. Just give it a little bit of time. I'm keeping my belt.
And your winner, and still Fandom Fights champion. And your winner, and still Fandom Fights champion, Joe Fairley. And your winner, David Garcia.
Dude, I feel awesome.
Up that blemish, beating the greatest team ever. Now we sort of have to beat what would be considered the second or third best team ever, depending on how you score it and your thoughts about history. So I guess if we win this, we're giant killers.
And your winners and new Fandom Fights Teams champions, Twohig.
We're here again. The first official number one contenders match we've been in. I know we were in the tournament finals last year, but this is the first quote unquote contender. And I feel good.
And your winners, Duel of the Fates, going on to play Wookiee Mistake.
But yeah, this sort of ends Manhattan Project's time.
Yeah, time to walk it back a little bit and just watch chaos unfold next season.
Wookiee Mistake, after winning the tournament, unfortunately had to bow out of the title match, but we need a contender for the final act.
I am dead inside. What will happen?
And your winners, Manhattan Project.
If it were any other team, I really wouldn't put a whole lot of thought into this. But those two, I got 1 week.
That's 6 days more than he needs. Let's do it. Meltzer, you have the belt that's been mine for 6 years. It's mine now.
And your winner!
And new Warzone movie trivia champion.
But we've been waiting for that belt for like a year. So step aside. We're getting our belt back. Meltzer, we had a good run. Oh, let's win a fucking tournament.
And your moving on to play for the title by way of technical knockout, it is Kaleb Boatman. And your winner and new movie Warzone singles champion.
But man, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten, but that's not what I'm hungry for. So.
Yeah.
And your winner, Andrew Barr.
I'd like to have it back at least one more time. I'd like to just be able to say I've been a 2-time champion. And then, I think I'll be pretty happy after that.
Don't worry, I'll do my very best to get this job that I so crave.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fanzone Debate. We're here at the final act, Multiplex final act. Very excited. We got the Fanzone Debate title match for you. We got the champion, Kirk Kolkowski. He's been the champion for a hot second, winning his belt off of Jacoby last season. Or no. Yeah, last season. I'm not a crazy person. It was last year. He defended against the likes of Nazario at the end of the year. And then this year he's played Amaru. And then most recently Cody, who is also here. And then now tonight he's going up against Bill Carriola. So will the streak continue? Will he be the champion all season? He's already held it for a full year, but will he continue on? I don't know. Let's see what happens. We got Brian Michaels here. Brian, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay. I'm here to judge the final match, the title match. Don't really want either of these guys to win, so at least I'm impartial. You know, with Kirk's held the title for a while, so we keep having to listen to these debates on these really lame categories he chooses. And Bill is just insane. I mean, I honestly should just put Bill and Mike Hanley in a match together, and just we'd all lose our minds.
There you go, Cody. You've judged a lot of matches. I'm sorry. how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I have PTSD. So I'm gonna be honest with you. Being on the side here, title match in Kirk's name, it just flashbacks. I haven't been able to watch films the same way. Again, Kirk is fantastic. Kirk is probably the best. One of the best debaters I've ever come across and got to see play. Bill is unconventional, so it may throw Kirk off. Any advice to take down Kirk? Cheap shots, throat punches, kicks to the balls. One of the two, you'll have a shot. But if Roy Batty comes up, just vomit.
Oh my God! All right, well, let's get into it. We'll start by talking to Bill, the challenger. Bill, welcome. You signed up on the Facebook post, and now you're here. You made it all the way through. You've had some great matches. You debuted against Chadwick Webb. Then you went on to play Brooklyn in a very impressive KO. And then you won the number one contenders match against Brandon Cohen, one of the other great rookies of the season. So how are you feeling? Do you feel prepared? Are you excited?
To be clear, I have prepared nothing for any of these matches. This is the shit that lives in my mind, to be honest. So I had to do some studying for this because I don't know who the fuck Akira Kurosawa is. I've seen one of his movies, and it's not the one you think. So I'm all up on that now. So that's cute and fun. And then, I am nervous because I've seen Kirk yell, and I know Kirk probably hates 80% of my movie opinions, and that's why we're friends, because it's fun. So it should be interesting.
All right, awesome. Let's bring in the champion, Mr. Kirk. Kirk, how you doing? I read off your list of accomplishments at the beginning there since you've been champion. Is this just going to be another match? Are you nervous? What are you thinking?
Oh yeah, no, I mean absolutely. I mean I'm nervous every time because I'm always playing somebody good and somebody worthy of if they got to this level, then they deserve to be here. And I'll be honest, no offense to anybody else who participated, but when this whole rookie title picture started and I saw who was participating, I kind of circled Bill's name in my mind and said, yeah, it's probably going to be Bill. So I've kind of been expecting this. I went back and watched Bill's matches. He has improved every match he's played. So for my sake, I hope he peaks. He's peaked at this point and goes no further. But yeah, I feel good. I feel confident in the arguments I've crafted. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll see. It'll be fun.
All right. So this is how it's going to work. We got a title match for you. So instead of 4 prep questions, we have 5 prep questions, 3 drafted by the champion, 2 drafted by the challenger. So they gave us some categories. I made the questions for them. They're going to debate those questions tonight before our very souls. Then what's going to happen is if after the prep questions, we have a score of 3-2, we'll move on to some bonus questions to finish this thing out. We're going to make it best 4 out of 7. So you're going to get 1 minute to open your arguments.
which is going to be followed by a 5-minute freeform, which is then going to be followed by a 1-minute closing. Gentlemen, do you have any questions about how this is going to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, then let's do this thing. All right, we are going to kick this thing off with a category that I like. So yay! This is actually, I like a lot of these tonight. We're going to start it off with directors, and the question is, who is the most intimidating character in a Martin Scorsese crime film? So we're going to kick it off with Kirk, since he drafted this one. Kirk, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
When the question popped up for most intimidating Scorsese character, the first person I thought of was Nicky Santoro from Casino. This guy is completely unhinged. He has no fear. He's not afraid of police. He's not afraid of other mobsters, of mob bosses, of jail, of death. He has one speed, and that speed is ultra violence. He cannot be reasoned with. He cannot be questioned or challenged. If you come up against him, like his friend Ace Rossian says, if you come at him, you better make sure you kill him, because he will keep coming at you until one of you is dead. And that describes Nicky perfectly. If you are on the wrong side of him, you do not have long to live. He is a threat to his enemies. He's a threat to his friends. He's a threat to the people close to him. He cannot be controlled. He cannot be contained. He cannot be reasoned with. He is a danger at every level, and he is the most intimidating and scariest absolute Martin Scorsese character.
Okay. All right, we'll move over to Bill, who has 1 minute to open the argument when he starts talking.
When you watch Gangs of New York, you are completely compelled every time Bill the Butcher is on screen. He is the entire movie because of just how that man, I believe his picture is in the dictionary next to the word intimidating. Everything about him is no nonsense and horrifying. At no point in time do I think anybody is driving behind the wheel of that car. That guy is vicious. That guy is calculating. That guy has everybody around him completely afraid of him, whether it's his own gang members, whether it's cops, whether it's politicians. No one wants to be on the wrong side of that man at any point in time. He is ruthless, like a preacher has songs. Like, it's just everything that guy does is just so unnerving and unsettling. And my God, I've never been more afraid of an actual human being than I am as Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York.
Time. All right. 5-minute freeform. When one of you starts talking, I will come in with the 1 minute warning, like so, when that comes. And if I feel like somebody is talking too long, I'm going to throw this mother up. So keep it going and have fun.
You kind of contradict yourself there, Bill, because you said there's nobody behind the wheel of the car, but you said he's calculating. I agree with you that he is calculating. Here's the thing about Bill. Yeah, he's a dangerous person, but two things about him. A, he's a politician. And B, he has a very strict personal moral code. So he has two things holding him back. He's basically, he's playing the game on two different levels. He's playing 3D chess. Nicky's playing checkers. And if you say king me, he's going to shoot you in the face. Nicky's a much more simple character, straightforward. Bill has to play the game. Like I said, he's playing politics. He's controlling the crowd. He has a lot of other things going for him besides just intimidating violence. He's charming. Like you said, he's compelling. He has influence. But he's not just a straight danger like Nicky is.
This man will murder you in public. Like, it's fun. Nicky will take you to the back room and hide that shit. And I know you keep saying, like, oh, he has like that. First off, Bill's moral code is whatever the fuck he decides it to be, and it doesn't matter anything. It is like a broken compass. It is just whatever he decides his morals are. This is a guy that will straight up murder a cop in broad daylight in front of people with giddy delight. Nicky will make sure he's home every day to cook for his kids breakfast and make sure they're off to school. Like, say what you will about his demeanor, but he's still taking care of his family. He's still taking care of his day-to-day life. He's still a family man.
And that's
also,
not to
mention,
absolutely terrifying about. I'm sorry. Good finish.
No, I was going to say, not to mention, Joe Pesci's like 5 foot. I'm not intimidated by that. If I could palm your head and fucking hold you back, you do not intimidate me. I don't care.
How about the dude that won't take his boots off the table, who's twice his size, and totally is left weeping when Nicky's done with him? He's terrified of him. Yeah, Nicky takes care of his family. He's home. He goes out every night, murdering, killing, robbing, and then come home. That's how chilling he is. It means nothing to him. He'll come home and make breakfast for his kid like he was out working a 9 to 5. That's what's so scary about him. Bill's moral compass is not broken. Bill has a very strict moral compass. He took out his own eye because of his moral compass. He let Amsterdam live because of his moral compass. Amsterdam came, tried to kill Bill, and Bill let him live. You know who's not letting you live at that point? Nicky Santoro. You go after Nicky, he's going to take you out. He had, and if I was sitting in that room and I saw Amsterdam live after trying to kill Bill, and I was thinking about killing Bill. You know what I'd said? Like, you know what? Even if I fail, I got a shot. And what happens at the end? He lets this guy live, come back, and get another chance to kill him. Nicky's not going to let that happen.
All right, so I'm glad you brought that up. The fact that this guy will introduce himself by tapping on his glass eye with a fucking knife, like, I'm sorry, that immediately intimidates the shit out of me. If the first time I meet somebody, they're doing some shit like that, I'm like, that's not the guy to fuck with. If the first thing I see from somebody is some 5 foot guy who sounds like he's huffed helium in the parking lot and he wants to pretend to be like this like bad tough guy, I'm gonna laugh my ass off even if he does beat my ass because I am not intimidated by him.
You'll be dead very quickly, or you'll be in the hospital.
He may be crazy, but I'm not intimidated just by looks.
You'll learn to be intimidated. There's a scene in the casino where there's 2 gangsters who show up to try to rip off Ace's casino. All Nicky has to do is walk up and say, "Hey guys, not today." And those guys bail immediately. They know that Nicky is not to be messed with. Anybody in Nicky's world, his circle, knows he is not to be messed with, and they are rightly terrified of him. There's a scene where Ace is meeting with him in the desert, and he says when they are on good terms, Ace only gives himself 99 out of 100% chance of getting out of the desert alive. When they are getting along, childhood friend who is protected by the mafia, by the way, does not feel completely safe being alone with this guy. He is completely unhinged. There is no safety around him. There's no reason with him. Bill, you reason with. Bill's playing the angles. Bill may have a reason to keep you alive. Nicky does not.
Yeah, but again, the argument is who is more intimidating. Just by first off, just by physical appearance, Bill constantly looks like he is just like anger sweating. Like he looks like if I would touch him, he'd be sticky. Like he always doesn't look right. He looks like he is wearing a dead man's clothes. Like everything about him from the physical presentation is completely unsettling. Like that is pure intimidation walking. Joe Pesci's wearing some goofball suits. He is like 5 foot nothing.
And everybody is still afraid.
I let you talk. It's time to let me talk.
There's a scene in...
I let you talk. It is my time to talk. I'm just saying. Like, he is a goofball who has this really high-pitched voice. And, like, I'm sorry. I'm like... And you know what the worst part is? There was a better, more compelling character for Pesci in Goodfellas, and you, for some reason, went with the worst version
I went with the more unhinged, dangerous character.
He did it better in Goodfellas. That's all I'm saying.
Time. Okay. We're going to move over to Bill for his closing. Bill, you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
Bill the Butcher lives up to his name because he actually is a butcher. This guy will torture you psychologically. He will mess you up and he will leave you alive to teach you that lesson because that's how completely awful that guy is as a human being. I mean, Nicky Santoro will make sure he goes home to cook for his kids and take care of his wife, and he still tries to function like a decent person, even when he's doing awful things. I am not intimidated by a guy who's putting on a front of a decent person. I am intimidated by a guy that will, like, flex out in fucking public and beat a cop to death, cracking his head open in full view of everybody. That is not a guy I want any part of. Meanwhile, like, you could kind of reason with the other guy because he's wearing a goofball suit and I could just hold my head out like this. That is not intimidating in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry. Plus, he's way more intimidating in Goodfellas. That's the guy I definitely don't want to be around. The guy that will, like, beat someone to death with a gun in front of all of his friends and then dump his body out in the woods like it's fucking nothing.
Time. All right. We're going to move over to Kirk, who has 1 minute when he starts talking.
Bill, you go ahead and stick that hand out on Joe Pesci's head. You're bringing back a stump. It doesn't matter what they look like. Everybody in the realm is terrified of Nikki. Everybody who is smart enough to be afraid of Nikki is. Nikki, Bill has a lot of tools in his toolbox. He has charm. He has political influence. He's likable. People like him, want to be around him. Nikki has one tool. It's violence. That's it. And everybody knows it. Again, these men both exist in a world that is dangerous, and the goal is to stay alive to the next day. If I have to sit across from one of these tables, I know I have a much better chance staying alive from if I'm across the table from Bill. Because like I said, Bill has to play the game. He has to keep people happy. He has to keep his political opponents happy, or his friends happy. He has to keep the masses happy. So there's a lot going on. Nikki, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about keeping anybody happy, about doing his job, about satisfying people above him. He's just going to, if you upset him, he will kill you. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what the consequences are. He is always going to kill you. He's off the leash.
All right. Oh man, this is great already. I'm so happy right now.
I'm happy I'm on this side of it. This is fun.
when Bill made the comment about putting the hand on his head, I saw Kirk backstage, and it made me laugh so hard. Oh, that was great. Okay. Oh man.
I was very proud of that bit, by the way. Just
No, this was stellar. This is what the whole match. This is gonna be nuts. Looks like Brian's ready. Cody, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, I'll go first. Like I said, I alluded to it. This was tough. I thought this was great. I thought they both brought different kind of perspectives to similar but different almost. Like Bill's was very like Bill the Butcher is the look is slimy, gross, and he's also so from like a look he's terrifying, and then also just like his actions are also super intimidating. But Kirk was just more like, no, this guy's just a fucking maniac and he'll destroy you if you look at him the wrong way. I went with Kirk because I thought that Kirk was able to, when he brought in the stuff about like he has to keep people happy, Bill the Butcher has to keep people happy, and there are even moments where he spares certain characters for like reasons where his character in Casino, Joe Pesci in Casino would just murder them. And the bit about the line that Kirk brought up about how his friend, even in the desert or whatever, isn't 100% feels safe with this character. I thought that was a really, really good like quote to bring up. So I went with Kirk. Cody, where are you voting? Why?
Yeah, so if I think the question was most physically intimidating, like just going off looks, I think there was a more basis for the argument, but intimidating did not have to be just with the way they look. But I did take that into a factor. That wasn't like a total discount. I just think that I went with Kirk. I went with Kirk because I think Kirk painted more of a picture of why each character was what. Basically gives me examples for both people. Like Bill the Butcher as a politician has to for his own political interest, so he can't be that. While Nikki's unhinged, and also the fact that he brought up the point from Casino where the guys come to rob that casino, and he goes up to him and goes, "No, not today," and they just they leave. That just proves how much of an intimidating fellow he really is. So it was close. It was a really good debate, though.
Brian, where would you have voted?
I voted for Bill, actually. I think Bill did a good job. He was talking about not only is he like a physical presence, and he'll intimidate you by tapping on his eye with his knife, and the things that he will do to people in front of everyone in public to show you what he's capable of. Whereas the Joe Pesci's character will do things in the back room. He still puts forward the image of a family man. And so I think that Kirk was arguing, in my opinion, more how someone's reputation makes him dangerous. Like, oh, everyone knows to be afraid of him. Whereas I thought Bill argued why Bill is intimidating.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to the next question. Kirk leads 1-0. We'll get into the next one, which was drafted by Bill in the category of horror icons. And the question is, what is the best Freddy quote in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie? So, Bill, you get to kick this one off. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
The first time I saw The First Nightmare on Elm Street, and that movie terrified me. There was a lot of things in it that are really just, I don't want to get into. And Freddy is actually a man of few words in that film. He is very scary, and he's very menacing, but he speaks when it's necessary, and it drives home a point. And the best example of that is after he murders Nancy's boyfriend, and the phone rings, and he says, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy," with the iconic scene of the tongue coming out of the phone. And to me, that perfectly encapsulates that character of, I am in your mind. I am pure menace. I am irredeemable evil. And I am going to flaunt it in your face and get you completely scared for when I finally take you. And that is the exact one. That's why I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. Best Freddy quote.
Time. Okay. We'll move over to Kirk. Kirk, you now have 1 minute when you start talking.
Don't start my time yet, Tim. I'm just going to say that I'm going to censor my my quote because I have kids present. So
that's fine.
Don't
Yeah,
hold that
I
against
know
me.
what
but
it is.
just-
You're good. You're
Okay. Why do we love Freddy Krueger? Why has he been such a popular character for 5 decades now? What makes him different? What sets him apart from other slasher villains? What we love about Freddy Krueger is that he actually exists in the dream world, in the subconscious of his victims. And what he's able to do is he's able to go in there and find their weaknesses, their hopes, their dreams, their weaknesses, everything going on inside them. And he's able to prey on that and use that to bring about these super ironic deaths. And he always has a great quote to go with it, great line. My best example of that is Welcome to Primetime B. I have kids in the room, so I can't say it, but Welcome to Primetime B. That when he kills Jennifer in Dream Warriors, Jennifer wants to be a TV star. That's her biggest dream in life. And so she's watching TV, trying to stay awake, trying to avoid Freddy. And Freddy, the TV comes to life. He sticks his head out, has the antennas, and he says, "Welcome to Primetime B. This is your chance that you're never going to get. This is what you wanted. I'm not even taking your life. I'm taking your dreams away with you." That's what Freddy does.
All right. 5 minute free form when one of you starts talking.
So while yours is good, and if the question was iconic, I probably would have went with you on that one, but we're looking for the best as far as Freddy the character. And the reason why I wouldn't go with yours is because it is the beginning of the downfall of that character. It's where they made him this punchline joke of he's almost a pale imitation of what he once was. And Freddy works when he is scary, when he is menacing. He doesn't work when he's testing out his Catskills routines before trying to kill somebody, and they just make him this cartoonish fop of what he used to be. And that is my main gripe with that line specifically. It is beginning there, and then you can just pin, and it's like a downward spiral of 4, 5, 6, all not good. Whereas Mayan, it's more of there's the evil, there's a menace to it. This is just, it's also disgusting. Freddy's disgusting. We got to really get onto the fact that Freddy is a murdering pedophile, and we shouldn't nerf that with
Okay, I would disagree with you. I know there may be some hardcore old school fans who agree with you, like that more quiet, just straight up serial killer Freddy. I don't think in this franchise he's kinetically a pedophile. He's just child murder. But anyway, he most people, when they think of Freddy, they think of the quippy, funny guy, and that's what sets him apart, and that's what people like. And that's honestly why this franchise lasts as long as he did. That's why they changed it, because they needed to do something to the character to change him up, and they made him funny. And that's kind of the downfall of your thing, is that it's before he becomes the guy who's putting out all these great one-liners. I think if you were to say, you used to use the word iconic for yours. And I don't know if I agree with that, but I think yours is just a throwaway. Here's the thing about Freddy. Great thing about Freddy's lines is they're so personalized to the event and to the person he's killing. Freddy killed a lot of boyfriends. He could have said, "I'm your boyfriend now," to just about anybody. It's really not a unique line for Nancy or in that situation. Again, this is the proto Freddy before he gets really super creative and interesting with his kills and with his dialogue.
It absolutely is very, very much tailored to her because she is watching. She knows what's happening. She saw him go into his house. Like, she knows something's happening with Glenn, but she's locked in and she can't get out. And then not only does he murder her, then he taunts her with it. And not to mention, let's also face the fact that this is a teenage girl. This is an underage teenage girl. And he is being lewdly sexual with her in this scene. And it is fucking gross. You can say all you want, but I'm sorry. They went the wrong direction. And that's why it petered out after a while. It's like, because while your line might be iconic, it's definitely not the best, because then we get, oh, bon appetit, bitch. And oh, here we go. Let's overdrive, and just one after another. And it's how many times can we just make the same bad joke and make it not funny? And also rob Freddy of the thing that he was actually, which was scary. He is no longer scary. It's like jokes at this point. It's bad comedy.
I would say that you're right that down the line they weren't all winners, and but I think this movie is the perfect balance of him being quippy and funny and not being a joke as he might have became later. And I think what's great about this one and why this is a great example is because, like I said, he's not just killing this girl. He's using her hopes and dreams. This is just a very tragic, sad character. She wants to be a TV star. She wants to be an actor, but she's never going to be. She's stuck in this mental institution. She has all these problems. She's never going to achieve her hopes and dreams. So what does Freddy do? And you talk about gross and disgusting and evil. He takes her dreams and her hopes, the television, everything she built her life around, and that's what he uses to kill her. He's not just ending her life. He's saying he's mocking her in it, and it makes you hate him, but it also makes it so much fun.
And then it looks hilarious because her head is hanging out of a TV that clearly wouldn't support her body. I'm sorry. It's a punchline and it falls flat because it's like, you say it works, but it doesn't. It's because this is where, like, oh, what's wrong? Are you tongue-tied? I don't believe in fairy tales, kid. Whereas this is God. I'm your boyfriend now. Like, I'm sorry. It's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be like, I am fucking with you because I am an awful human being, and he is a pedophile. I'm sorry. He is.
He's a
murdering pedophile. I shouldn't be rooting for this fucking thing.
Your character survives, mine dies. But if you want to talk how it looks like the rubber tongue sticking out of the phone,
later.
That looks ridiculous. That tongue in the phone is more jokey. I laughed at that more than I laughed at anything in my scene because that effect is so bad. So if you want to talk about just how hokey it is, your scene's pretty hokey as well.
Yours is also just as hokey. I'm sorry.
But like I said, Freddy's sweet spot is when he is funny and you hate him, but you're laughing at the same time, and that's what my line.
Funny Freddy's no good.
All right, Kirk, you are going to close first on this one. You get 1 minute when you start talking.
Bill doesn't like Funny Freddy. That's okay, but that's what kept this series going, and that's what kept this character alive. And that's what most people, 99% of people who know anything about Nightmare on Elm Street, that's the Freddy Krueger they know. That's the Freddy Krueger they love. That's what sets him apart from other just basic slasher killers, is those creative kills, those creative lines. Like I said, this one is tailor-made to this character. She is so hopeful and so dreaming so much of this, and he not only takes her life, he sucks her dreams away from her. He takes everything she wanted out of life, and he uses that to destroy her. That ironic kill. That's the iconic, ironic Freddy Krueger kill. I'm your boyfriend now. Like I said, this is the beginning of Freddy. The kill isn't very creative or original. I mean, it's a great gory kill, but when it comes to the character, it doesn't really have anything to do with character. It's just a kill in a slasher movie. And then he says a kind of a throwaway line. Like he said, he could have said this, how many boyfriends has Freddy killed in these movies? A lot. He could have said this to anybody. My line is specific, tailor-made to this character, and that's what Freddy does so well, is he tailor-makes his kills, tailor-makes his quips.
All right. We're going to move over to Bill. Bill, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
I'm going to drive the point that Nancy also does die later, so he does eventually kill Nancy, but that's neither here nor there. I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy, perfectly summarizes the absolute evil, disgusting menace that is Freddy Krueger, and you are wrong. It is not when everyone made everything a joke and he became this like stand-up comedy act. It ruined the franchise. It progressively got worse to the point where they had to reboot it and make him scary again in New Nightmare. That's what Joke Freddy does. It irrevocably damages the character beyond repair, and then they have to jumpstart the thing all over again in a completely different fashion. Whereas mine is still beloved and upheld as a classic because he is a man of few words, but he is inside your head, and he is constantly being a gross human being, like monster, stalking these kids, preying on their weaknesses, and getting them when they're the most vulnerable and alone. And that perfectly encapsulates the scene where he has murdered Glenn and he is taunting Nancy with it. Like, it's just fucking terrible.
Time. All right. Bring in the judges. My dog's been outside for that whole question. I wonder if he's going to come back.
To be clear, this hurt my person because Dream Warriors is my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie. It really is. This really hurt.
Shouldn't have said that before I voted. I don't know. I fucking hate this person. So, not the person.
You could be talking about either one of us, Kurt. Just so we're clear. So.
He hates Freddy.
You could be talking about a lot of people.
Yeah, actually, fair.
Yeah, you know me too well.
All right, Brian, you're kicking us off on this one.
This one got a little bit into the woods, I think, when they started talking about if the TV could handle the weight of the person versus the hokey special effects in the tongue and things to do with the scene that had nothing to do with the quote itself. It also got into, which movies were better, which ones were still held in high esteem, things like that. But when the question is just about the quote itself, I did end up going with Kirk. I think that he made some good points as far as how Bill may not like where the series went. But that is definitely a turning point where it went. And I think that especially when he talked about how this is a line that could have been said to any of a number of people, whereas his was specific to that one situation, that one person.
Okay. I agree with you. I thought it got into the woods a little bit is a good way to put it. I still thought that it was a weird fight. I struggled voting on this one a little bit up until the end. I went with Bill. I thought that Bill's the whole the needing to reboot the franchise and everything like that didn't really matter to me. But what kind of sealed it for me was the whole thing about just that Freddy, the way that Freddy is like taunting and being this like gross, disgusting character towards Nancy. Again, very similar to Kirk's thing with the TV. I just thought that Bill's overall like description of the character, the scene, I thought that he had a good takedown of Kirk when Kirk said it's just like another kill or whatever, and Bill was like, no, it's not. Like he was watching, Nancy saw it happen and now he's taunting it. I thought that worked well. It helped me with the scene, or helped with contextualize the quote. So this was a tough one, but I went with Bill. Cody, who gets the point?
So I've only seen one Friday the 13th movie, and I absolutely not Friday the 13th.
This is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Which shows you're in bigger weeds than you know for picking this non to judge. I despise this character. We got into a moral stance on what this crimes this person that's been burnt and goes in dreams has committed. Don't think it mattered. When I boiled it down, I don't care like what happens in the scene. I have to go based on what the quote is. The quote is what I was judging on. It didn't matter. It felt like we got into like a pretentious like, where did Freddy start going downhill and where was he the best and what he did and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, I did the quotes and who described the quote and why the quote meant the most to it. The person that painted the exact picture was Kirk for me because of the takedowns versus of thing like the hopes and dreams and shattering and using the thing in front of her, and his counter to there's so many boyfriends that he could have said this to anyone. I didn't really hear a counter, like a huge counter to hit those with, besides that the TV looked terrible. The whole series, everything looks terrible, but with what I've seen, so yeah.
Boo on you.
I'm sorry now.
Terrible.
I hate that you like it. This is the one thing in our friendship I hate that you enjoy this. I hate it.
All right. Well, that means Kirk wins the point. Kirk is up 2-0. We're going to get into the next question, which was drafted by Kirk. It is in the category of the Wizarding World. And the question is, what is the most heroic moment in a Harry Potter movie? So, Kirk, you get to kick this one off. You have 1 minute to open when you start talking.
A lot of different ways to be a hero. I went with Dobby, rescuing the gang at the end of Deathly Hallows 1. He comes in, he stands up to the Death Eaters that are gathered there, and he stands up to them. He puts himself at risk, and knowing that even though he's technically free, these people still see him as property. And not only is he standing up to them, but he is standing up to centuries of a culture that told him that he was worthless. That he had no value other than to serve these people, and he's standing up to people who have abused him and held him down all his whole life. So he stands up to them, and he finally makes his stand against them. He saves this group at his own. He knows if he fails, even if he kills one of them, the rest of them are going to take him, and he's going to die a pretty horrible death. He knows the consequences of what he's doing, but he goes against them. He goes against everything he's ever known in life, and he saves his friends. He rescues them. He sacrifices his life. Most heroic scene.
All right, move over to Bill. Bill, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names, just so we're clear. Having watched all these films now, and there was one thing that stuck out for me, and it was my personal favorite, is the character of Neville Longbottom, and what a journey he went on through all of these movies, and to me has the, bar none, hands down, drop the mic, heroic moment of slaying Nagini at the end of the Deathly Hallows Part 2. It is one of the most badass things in the entire franchise. It's this kid you've seen just be completely disregarded or just thought to be a bumbling imbecile who not only grows into like a fine young man, but when it is the absolute do or die moment, steps up and saves everybody. And I mean everybody. He is on a losing team and he manages to pull it together and get the job done, killing a Horcrux single-handedly, also saving Ron and Hermione.
Time. Okay. 1 minute or 1 minute. Whoa, that'd be quick. 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
I'll say this about your scene, Bill. Awesome, kick-ass scene. Total, just hell yeah.
Yes.
Pumping scene. That said, I don't think this is a great example of I don't think this is Neville's bravest moment. I think this is the bravest moment in this movie. First of all, Neville stumbles upon a weapon that he knows has killed creatures like Nagini, bigger and more powerful than Nagini. And so if you put a machine gun in my hands, you say, hey, go stop those people that harass your family. I'm not going to go do it not because I'm brave, but because I know what the machine gun can do. So I don't think that's a great example of bravery when he's armed like that. And also, he comes in from the side, doesn't put himself in danger. If he doesn't make that hit, Ron and Hermione still get eaten, and he's got a chance to get away. So I don't think he's being super brave in the situation.
Okay, number one, here's why that statement is completely wrong, is because he doesn't just happen upon a sword. That sword appears to him because that is the sword of the House of Gryffindor, and it only appears to the truly heroic. So it doesn't just he happens upon it. It presents himself to him because that sword knows he is the most heroic. Now, as far as Dobby goes, I wouldn't say it's heroic because he's not there to save the gang. He's there as a tool for Aberforth. Like, they call on Aberforth, and Aberforth just says, okay, we're going to send over Dobby, and he's just going to use some quick magic to get you out of this cell so we can get out of this house, and then they're going to get caught, but they're going to be kept alive. So even if he doesn't get them out, they're just going back into the jail cell. If Neville misses Nagini, they're all dead. Everybody dead. Dumbledore wins. There is like escaping stakes and end of the world stakes. And I'm sorry, the stakes are way higher in my scene. And it's just a beautiful culmination for Neville as a character. Also, I fucking applauded when Dobby died because fuck him. Just so we're clear.
Whoa, okay, that's fine. Stakes don't matter. It's what the person is doing First of all, the sword appears to him, but yeah, he has the sword. If a machine gun appears to me and I could use it, I want to use it. So,
but that machine gun's not appearing to you if you're not worthy.
Dobby's set. But he doesn't have to go. You know, Neville's in the middle of this fight. He's already fighting. Dobby comes in. We're going to send you to these people who have tortured you and abused you your entire life. And you have to go stand up to it to save your friends. And it doesn't matter if again, stakes don't matter, but if Harry Potter stays in the cell, you know, he's going to get killed eventually. But like, again, stakes aren't an issue here. It's just a matter of what they do. Dobby stands up to these people who have held him down his entire life. And he stands up and he threatens them. He takes her wand. He takes a wand from this person. He takes their power away from them, the power they've taken away from them. Essentially, what Dobby's doing here, this is the Wizarding World version of a slave revolt. He's standing up to his masters who have held him down his entire life. So, again, he comes into a fight that he's not in, that he can avoid. He's a free elf. He doesn't have to do this. Neville's already in the fight. Neville's already there. He sees a weapon. Okay, I'll go sneak attack and kill this thing that I know this thing, have no doubt this thing is going to kill because I have evidence that it's done it before. He's in no danger. He does not put himself in danger. His friends are still in danger if he fails, and he has a chance to get away. So again, stakes don't matter. If you look at just what the person is doing, Dobby is so much more
stakes
heroic.
Absolutely matter. Number one. Number two, he has been beaten. He has been bloodied. If you want to talk about who's had a hard time, Neville's entire life has been made fucking miserable. The only person who has suffered more under Voldemort is probably Harry. Like, the Death Eaters made his parents fucking vegetables, and they're in a constant living hell. And he has been picked on. This kid has been just completely downed his entire life. Everybody has ridiculed him. He has been mocked, and he has become the hero of this moment. Whereas, like, honestly, if it's a split second later and Dobby doesn't, like, that knife doesn't go through, that scene is not very heroic. It's just they managed to escape. Dobby's a tool in that scene. He's not actually doing an heroic thing. He's doing the job that is tasked of him.
He's choosing to do the task, which is to go back to the most hellish, horrible place that he could think of that you could send him, and he goes, and he does it probably because he's standing up and he's protecting his friends. He makes a choice. What Neville does, he does in the moment because he's already in the fight.
Because he's making a choice to save everybody.
Dobby makes a very specific choice to go face these people who have ruined his life, who have held him captive, who have made him a slave, and he stands up to them and he stops them and he defeats them. The stakes are irrelevant. It's the personal thing that they're going through is what matters here. And Dobby is so much more heroic than Neville is here.
Neville is conquering the people that have made his life and his family a living hell. I'm sorry. Like, you can harp on that all you want.
The snake
and
can do that to
absolutely
him.
Devil is stepping up in the moment to save everything.
The snake didn't torture his family.
That's a good new quote. The snake didn't torture his family. I like that. All right, Bill, you get to close first. You got 1 minute when you start talking.
Dobby's not heroic. Dobby didn't make a choice. Dobby was just sent there. Dobby's a tool and a means of escape. And honestly, he doesn't die. There's fucking nothing happens. It's fine. Like, the only reason why you're saying that is because he died and gave himself. And, like, whatever, that doesn't matter. Meanwhile, Neville, who we've watched just, like, as a kid, who couldn't even handle the basic concept of flying, who couldn't do simple, like, protective magic, who goes through ridicule, who manages to stand up to not only a bunch of fucking jerk off teachers in, like, you know, I can't remember their house name, the one with the fucking green one, I don't care. But when the chips were down, he is beaten. He has been just brutalized, and he sees his friends are about to die. They are going to lose, and they are going to lose to the man who has ruined his life and his family. The sword, which only presents itself to the truly heroic, so I don't care who fucking finds it, it presented itself to him. He kills a fucking Horcrux single-handedly and saves his friends and the entire school. Fucking Neville. Respect.
Sorry. Oh my God. All right. Kirk, 1 minute when you start talking.
Dobby is not a tool. Dobby is a free elf. Bill, you sound like a Death Eater when you say that about him. He made a free will choice to go do this. Neville, yeah, he had a hard time, but you know what else he had? He had years of Hogwarts. He had years of training under McGonagall and Dumbledore, with Harry Potter and Hermione, all these people building him up. Dobby did not have that. Dobby had none of that. Dobby was on his own. He was a slave. He was a servant, and he faced these people. You want to talk about Neville standing up to the people who tortured him and his family? Then talk about the scene where he stands up to Dumbledore. That's the scene you want. Nagini didn't torture his family. Nagini didn't kill anybody. And like I said, he comes in. His attack is a sneak attack from the side with a weapon that appeared to him. Yeah, you know what? There's probably 24 Hogwarts people or Gryffindors this could have appeared to. He was the closest. He was there. He had proximity, so it appeared to him. He takes the sword, comes in from the side, makes a side hit, doesn't take his friends immediately out of danger if he hits. Dobby stands up for his friends, sacrifices his life, heroic sacrifice, stakes don't matter.
All right. Oh man, I've never wanted to jump into a fight more in my entire life.
Same.
The amount of canon consistencies that were made were fantastic. They're not going to judge my but oh man, that was great.
No, but as a judge, I'm able to discredit bullshit. But I know that it's not 100%. There is fact checking that exists.
That's fair. I always say the fact check, and I'm just waiting to. Do we all have our votes written?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I believe Brian is kicking this. No,
I think
Cody. Cody, you are kicking this one.
You never want me to go first. Jeez,
I'm
such
so
a
sorry.
It's all right. I do love the Hail Mary attempt at the very end of the closing argument that says, like, proximity of another Gryffindor that Neville would have gotten. That somebody, like Ginny, would have also gotten the sword in those moments. I love the last ditch ever. It was really good. I think there was an opening that was presented in this fight that happened, and then he basically brought up like the whole like the machine gun. He brought the sword into play. He did that, and Bill was able to like slap it back down with the exact reason of why that sword appears, which is a huge moment. They're both good. I like the side glance. I like there's a lot of like takeaways. Like he's not facing it head on. You know. They're all going through, and a sword comes through too. It just happens to hit the one, so that didn't take into account. But like, it could have hit anybody. I went with Bill. I think Bill just overall was able to at least explain and take advantage of the opening that was created.
All right, Brian.
I think Kirk, especially for the first half of the argument, I kept using the word brave in describing Dobby and how he overcame his what he's been turned into a slave, and he kind of came back. Where I don't know if brave and heroic are necessarily even exactly the same thing, although it definitely plays into it. I do think that I did vote for Bill as well. I do think that Bill made a good case for Neville, especially in terms of how the sword presented itself. Because yes, it could have been anybody apparently, but the fact is, it knew that he was heroic, even if he was just one of many who could have been heroic. Anybody who's played me in fandom or watched me knows that I don't know nothing about Harry Potter, so I don't fact check. I'm going strictly by the argument I'm hearing here. But then as many times as Kirk tried to set it, I don't think he convinced me that stakes were irrelevant. So I think the stakes played a big part in the argument as well.
I also went with Bill. I thought Bill kind of owned this the whole time. Like I think on paper, the moment of Dobby's death saving Harry Potter and his friends is a great movie moment. It's an awesome moment. But I think that Bill kind of nailed it on the head of when I saw the answers, and I was talking about it with Nick, where we were both kind of like, yeah, he just kind of go, like, he doesn't really do anything. Like, I think Kirk did made me think about it a lot more than I was thought about, like, having to go back to the Malfoy's house. That's not, like, all that was not something I was thinking about. But I thought that Bill just did a great job of explaining the history of Neville. And then, yeah, I agree with Brian. I thought the stakes did matter in it. And when put into context, I also wanted to say that the thing that weirdly annoyed me the most is there are not a lot of other people around when Neville gets the sword. There's like no one around. But that's okay. That's neither here nor there. That didn't sway me one way. But when he kills the snake, there's people around, but not when it appears in the hat. Anyway, great shit. I thought that was a really good fight. Let's get into the next one. Bill's on the board. It is 2-1.
Could we do a quick minute? I just need a bathroom break, and I have like 2 minutes. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Cut.
Sorry.
Here.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. We're going to move into question number 4, prep question number 4. This was drafted by Bill. It is in the category of actors. The question is, what Jeffrey Combs non-fandom film has the best plot? So, Bill, you get to kick this off. You got 1 minute when you start talking.
So for Kirk's behalf, I did pick something that did get theatrically released, and it's not a B movie. But as far as the best Jeffrey Combs movie with the best plot, I went with Would You Rather, which is a very simple but very disturbing tale of a young woman who has a very sick brother, and she can't afford his medical bills. And she is put in contact with a very wealthy aristocrat who says, hey, if you come to my house for this dinner party, there may be a possibility we can get everything taken care of. And it is a horribly demented game of Would You Rather, where these people are put through just absolute physical and psychologically gruesome torture of, hey, would you rather have a firecracker go off in your hand, or you want to hold your head in a barrel for 5 minutes? And it's just awful. And it's her struggle to get through this and try to give her and her brother a better life. It's very hard to watch. It's very gruesome. And it's also very sad. It's very good. Would You Rather? Excellent movie.
Okay. We're going to move over to Kirk, who has 1 minute to open his argument when he starts talking.
Plot's hard to find by looking at it as the events that move your story along. It's what you hang your story on. And I picked a Jeffrey Combs movie I think has a great plot, very interesting. It's very well paced. I went with The Frighteners. Peter Jackson's The Frighteners. In this movie, Michael J. Fox plays a man who has had an accident, and as a result of the near-death experience, now he can see ghosts. And he used this ability basically to swindle people. He wrangles some ghost friends. He has them go haunt houses, and he goes and he's a paranormal expert to exercise these houses. Now these strange deaths start happening. The people who are close to him, he's working with, and it's basically a ghost serial killer. And Michael J. Fox is the only person who could see it. So he's trying to save these people, but by trying to save them, he has to put himself in close proximity to the murders. And so now he is the prime suspect. The FBI comes in. There's a Jeffrey Combs himself plays a FBI expert who is after him and is suspecting him of the murders. Michael J. Fox has to save his girlfriend and
time. Okay, 5 minute freeform. When one of you starts talking.
Bill, your movie, you use a lot of adjectives for your movie, and they're all right. Everything you said about it's correct. But you picked a movie that doesn't really have a plot. Everybody shows up. We know why one character's there. We don't know why anybody else is there. They sit down to the table, and they play Would You Rather, and the rest of the movie is torture porn. They sit there, and they play one round, and then they play another round, and they play another round, and about the third end, there's a escape attempt that's foiled almost immediately after it starts. And the movie goes back as if it never happened. They play Would You Rather, and they play Would You Rather, and then just the movie ends. Your movie is, like I said, it's interesting, but there's not a lot of plot here. For call this the best plot when there's really not much plot at all, I don't know where you're coming at with that.
I mean, yours is telegraphed a mile away, and I see everything coming before it even happens. Yours is completely guessable. It was also better when it was Ghostbusters. Just saying. It's a movie that's trying to be. Yours is a movie that's trying to be too many things, and it's not succeeding in either. It's trying to be a comedy, and it's also trying to be scary. And while Peter Jackson's a great director, we've seen great directors who have been given not the right material, not do a good job. This was definitely his most mid film because of it. It's his Ang Lee's Hulk. It doesn't work out for me. I'm sorry. It's just not very good. The jokes are just hackneyed. And also, Michael Keaton is completely miscast. I don't buy him as a con man for even a second. It just doesn't work. Whereas in my movie, Jeffrey Combs totally works as a completely slimy aristocrat, a rich guy who is watching these people just completely debase themselves for his sick pleasures. And you want to talk about no plot? This whole movie is basically a wonderful political allegory for just how the rich use the poor as their fucking entertainment because they're demented jerk-offs. So I don't know how you didn't get a plot out of that. And also the stakes in my movie are a lot more personal and a lot more palpable.
All right, you throw a lot of stuff at me. You're talking about story, you're talking about genre, you're comparing it to other movies and material direction. None of this has anything to do with plot. I agree with you. Acting in my movie, not that great. The joke, a lot of the jokes don't land, but the plot's fantastic. The plot is constantly moving forward, keeping the story progress. You have Michael J. Fox is stuck in the situation where he has to continue to keep following these people who are dying, and because of that, he's a suspect. He has that near-death experience. Peter Combs' character, Jeffrey Combs' character is brought in as this FBI agent because when Michael J. Fox is in death form, they need something to keep the action going as far as the living people goes, and that's what he's there for. There's all kinds of plot. Your story, like I said, you have Jeffrey Combs in your movie is great. He's a great psychopath. We have no idea why he's doing it. We're never told why he's doing it. He's just there doing it to do awful things to awful people. But there's no plot progression. The story doesn't progress. The story is the same. Your movie could be a half hour longer or a half hour shorter. The only thing that changes is how many people are suffer and die.
All right, first off,
there's some great stuff in your movie, but there's no plot.
What are you, fucking Cinema Sins? You need everything fucking drawn out to you until it's like that exists. He's doing it because he likes to do it. They've been doing this for years. They allude to that. Like that they've always been doing this kind of stuff. This is the sick game that they play, and they enjoy making people's lives a living hell. Your movie is it's not even that good a plot because it's completely guessable. It's also it's funnier in Ghostbusters, and the subject matter is handled much more expertly. And I can't believe I'm going to give this person a fucking compliment in The Sixth Sense, where that whole genre of I can see the dead and this is how I'm going to much better done in that one. Peter Jackson's lost in this one. It's in his in-between phase of when he was cranking out fantastic stuff like Bad Taste, but before he became that completely great director doing Lord of the Rings. The plot of this movie is, I'm a con man, I see ghosts. Oh, and I'm going to use that to make money. Oh, but there happens to be a serial killer, and if you figure it out a million miles away.
Bill, that's story. That's not plot. That's the story.
That's the plot of your film, but it's completely guessable.
That the story is guessable. That's not the plot. And you can talk about all the movies you like better than Frighteners. That doesn't make your movie have a plot.
My movie does have a plot.
They sit down and they play a game. It's torture porn. It's just watching these horrible things happen to these people. And I was intrigued because I'm like, oh my God, what horrible thing is going to happen? But there's no plot. The movie is the same. They take characters in, they take characters out, and the movie doesn't change. There's
that's the beauty of my movie. The plot is simple, but the plot is effective. Yours is overly complicated.
Your story is simple. You don't have a plot.
The plot is simple.
It doesn't matter if it's an allegory or whatever. Your movie is a situation. There's no plot.
No, my plot is simple. Yours is convoluted and messy.
Time. All right. Kirk, we're going to start with you. You have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
My plot isn't convoluted and messy. My plot exists. There's things going on. The movie's progressing. It's a very fast-paced movie. Bill's throwing a ton of stuff. He's throwing character. He's throwing script. He's throwing jokes. He's throwing other movies that he likes better. But it doesn't affect the plot. My movie, for all of their weaknesses, has a great plot. It's very interesting. And it keeps you intrigued as you're going forward, as you see him going through these different situations. Like I said, it's so great because he goes into ghost form for this near-death experience. Michael J. Fox does, and Jeffrey Combs is there to keep the story moving forward with the plot by putting his girlfriend in danger. There's so many different things in this movie that just it continues to move and change and things happen. Nothing happens in Bill's movie other than these people sit down and they're tortured for 90 minutes. Like I said, there's a very quick movie. There's a few misdirects, an attempt to escape, a rescue, but it's misdirect to make you think there's going to be a plot. There's not a plot to this movie. Nothing changes. There's no progression. It's just the same thing for 90 minutes.
Time. Okay. We're going to move over to Bill, who has 1 minute when he starts talking.
The plot of The Frighteners is barely there. It's also very guessable. It was also done better in other movies. The plot works much better in Ghostbusters. Hell, fucking Stir of Echoes handled that better than The Frighteners did. My movie, simple, effective. Sometimes the simple plot is all you need. Look at fucking Rope. It's one room. It's three people. It's like a party, but it's gripping. And that's what this movie is. It is a very simple plot of let's put these complete strangers in an impossible situation and then just test their will. And it is brutal to watch. And poor Brittany Snow just goes through so much to get through this film. It's simple and it's effective, and that's why this works as a whole. That is convoluted nonsense that doesn't really much make any sense. And not to mention, there's nothing different by the end of the film. Everybody's the exact same. She is completely changed and a completely different person by the end of this film because of the events of this plot.
Time. Okay. Let's bring in the judges. I had to Google the word plot. Maybe I didn't know exactly what the word meant. A plan made in secret by a group of people trying to do something. No, I'm just kidding.
That is one plot.
land.
Yeah. That is also a plot.
Okay. I'm going first. I went with Kirk. I thought that Kirk did a good job of explaining the plot of his film. I have seen The Frighteners. I haven't seen Bill's movie, but based off of what everyone was saying, I think I would probably enjoy Bill's film. That being said, though, Kirk really sold it and brought it home about how there really is not a lot of plot going on in Bill's movie. And Bill kept throwing out stuff like, your plot is convoluted, but I didn't really hear any reason as to why it was convoluted. Like, what about it was convoluted? It was done better in other movies. Okay, what about it was done better in other movies? Like, it was just like Bill was naming other movies that were similar and saying that they were better, but that doesn't really have a lot to do with why the plot of The Frighteners was bad. So I went with Kirk. Cody.
Yeah, I've died on a plot question before. It's been some of the most painful debate of my life, thinking you're debating something that you can just, oh yeah. But when somebody like knows it and throws it back in your face over and over, it's a brutal, brutal fight. I hate the questions. No offense, Tim. I love it. Love you. Beautiful. I just hate plot questions. But I went with Kirk because I think he handled it and handled plot the best.
Ryan.
Yeah, I think I remember Kirk telling me plot questions as well. I think that they're kind of hard to answer, but he clearly put in a lot of work to specify what was and wasn't plot. I would have gone with Kirk as well. I felt like this was the most one-sided of the whole match so far. Not because Bill was making a bad argument, because I've actually seen Would You Rather. I agree with everything he said. It's brutal, it's gory, it's simple and effective. But
I recommend it.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I don't think that he described much of a plot. Every time he tried to say what it was about, he was saying what it's about. He's giving the scenario. He was giving the concept of it, but that's not the plot. The plot of the story as it moves forward and where the story goes from there. Whereas Kirk did a much better job of supporting his.
Okay, so here's the situation. Kirk is up 3-1 as we get into the final prep question. So Bill needs to hit this in order to send it to the bonus. If Kirk hits this, he will win. So the question is in the category of classics. And the question is, what classic Akira Kurosawa character would you never want to meet in real life? So we are going to start with Kirk. You have 1 minute to open when you start talking.
A lot of good options for this question. I went with somebody who you really can't escape or get away from. I picked the old ghost woman from Throne of Blood. If you're not familiar with Throne of Blood, basically it's a retelling of Macbeth. The old ghost woman is a stand-in for the witches, the weird sisters. And the reason I do not want to meet this person is because she is terrifying to look at. She has like this old woman, like demonic look to her. Her voice is haunting and just nerve-wracking. She traps you in her realm with fog. She can keep you there as long as she wants. So it is not a pleasant experience. Just basically the stuff of nightmares made of. But the more reason is because if I run into this person, I'm not going to come across them randomly. If I run into this person or this creature, it's because I am doomed. Basically, she is foretelling my doom, and she brought me there to do that and to revel in it. My fate is sealed. I'm probably going to die, or at least my life is ruined, and I can't escape it. I'm already dead once I've met this person. So it's the worst person a Kurosawa movie you can meet.
Time. All right. We'll move over to Bill. Bill, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
So the one person in a Kurosawa movie I would not like to meet is Tajimuro. And I apologize if I have butchered the pronunciation of that name, but basically he is the bandit played by Toshiro Mifune in the ever classic Rashomon. This guy's a murderer. This guy's just an awful human being. And we can get into the whole debate of, well, maybe he's not a reliable narrator, but the person he chooses to present himself as is basically a stealing murderer. He cackles like a maniac. He has no regard for anybody else. Just a vile, awful human being. He's just constantly just yelling. He is just like ready to pounce. Like, just nothing good comes from this guy. I've been around people like this my whole life, and when I see a person like this that wants to, like, even if they're lying, pretend they're tough, I want nothing to do with them because they're just absolutely awful.
Time. Okay. 5 minute freeform when one of you starts going.
Bill, if it's all right with you, I'd like to hit you with a couple of bullet points about your character, and then I'll let you rebut. Does that work?
Okay, why not?
Okay. First of all, first time we see your character in real time, he is on trial for his life, and he is distracted. He's not paying attention because he's too busy staring directly at the sun. So, your guy's not too bright. Secondly, he comes across, like you said yourself, he is obviously crazy. The laughing fits, the nervous tics, you see him coming a mile away, and you know you can give him a wide berth and avoid him. The only reason that his victim gets murdered is because he's dumb enough to go to a second location with this guy. If you're smart, you won't do that. Third thing is, like you said, he is an unreliable narrator, but at the end of the movie, we get the real story. We get the actual turn of events, and we find out that your guy is cowardly and not a very good fighter. So overall, I mean, he's
but we also find out
I'd want to be around.
We also find out he's a fucking rapist. And of all the things in all of these movies, I don't want to be around somebody who is a rapist or possibly a murderer. And let's talk about yours. Like, if you meet this person, like, and like you're saying, oh, it's because, I met my dude. Well, that's your fucking fault. First off, if you want to be a shithead, and then this soothsayer is going to tell you why you're going to fucking die because you did awful things, that's on you, Jack. Like, I want to meet her. Like, I would love to meet this witch, personally, because her fucking truth-telling, like, future accuracy through the roof. I would immediately, me and her, go to Vegas. I'd set her up at the fucking Palms and make all the fucking money. With that kind of accuracy, are you out of your fucking mind?
That's not how this works, Bill. This creature does not have a high opinion of humanity, is not here to help, is not here to tell you good things. Yeah, if it is my fault, that's fine. It doesn't matter if it's my fault. It still means I'm going to die. Maybe I did something wrong, but I'm still going to die because I met this person, and I don't want to be that person that's going to have to meet that fate.
And now you got the info to fix it. Meanwhile,
but you don't.
She's
just setting in motion.
Murdering people.
That's the thing about it. You can't fix it. She's just making it worse. He goes to her a second time when he has nothing else to do. He's desperate. He goes to her, and they give him she gives him another basic false prophecy and tells him, go kill everybody. Go paint the forest with blood, and basically seals his doom again. If you meet this person, they're not here to help. They're not here to do anything good for you. They're not. This person is here to. If you meet them, it's not because you did something right or something right's going to happen to you. And it doesn't matter if it's my fault. I still don't want to do anything bad enough to meet this person.
Yeah. Whereas my guy, I don't want to meet him because I don't know what I'm going to get. I'm either going to get a murderer, or I'm going to get a rapist, or I'm going to get an absolute fucking lunatic. So I know you said, like, oh, you can just avoid them. You cannot avoid lunatics. They're everywhere. They're waiting in the fucking bushes. You don't believe me. I live in a city. They're everywhere. Whereas I'm not out in some fucking woods in the land of wind and ghosts. So not to mention, fucking take her to Vegas. Put her in a room. $100, completely accurate. I'll fucking set up that loom for her. And not to mention, you have a far more awful character in your film of the Lady Macbeth analog, who is far more fascinating. The eyebrows alone make me not want to meet her. And she, more than the soothsayer, pushes your character to doing all these things.
But it's the thing that makes her horrible is everything that the ghost says, everything the ghost tells her. She puts into motion everything that makes her horrible, or at least brings out all those horrible things about her. That's what makes her bad. That's what makes
she was always horrible. So she was just given the excuse. That was always there.
So it brought out everything that's what the ghost says. Like, oh, you hide your desires. And she brings out all these horrible things about these people, and she basically, like I said, their fate is sealed. She just put into motion and toying with them. I know you want to go to Vegas, but like I said, Bill, you're not going to get. This person lives in a mound of human bones and skeletons. They're not here to help you. They're not here to do you any good. And like you said, your guy's a murderer, you're a rapist, yeah. But like I said, everything in this movie that I know about him tells me, and like you said, he projects this certain thing that he's dangerous, but he's really not that bad. I mean, there are a lot of murderers.
Oh my God, a murdering rapist is not that bad. You hear yourself.
He can be dealt with. He can be dealt with. A lot more. There are a lot of murderers.
All I got to do is not be a shithead.
There are a lot of murderers or rapists in Kurosawa movies. You pick the one that is easiest to avoid and the easiest to deal with if you have to.
You pick the character that is the easiest to avoid. All I got to do is not be a fucking jerk off, and then I don't have to run into this person. Crazy people are unpredictable and random like the fucking weather. I can do my best to avoid them, but they're out there waiting to fucking get you. You can tell me all you want. All I got to do is not travel to the land and win the ghosts to avoid yours. We'll go to Vegas.
You
Vegas
to avoid it.
Don't yell Vegas at me. All right, Bill, you get to kick this closing off. 1 minute when you start talking.
The witch is easier to avoid. I mean, all you got to do is not be a fucking human sack of fucking garbage, and then you're fine. Also, take her to Vegas. You know what? Fucking go to the Bellagio. You can fucking rake in the money. Are you kidding me? Wine moms would pay a fortune to find out what the fuck's going to happen to them, and you'll be sitting pretty. My guy, I don't want to be around. A fucking murdering rapist psychopath. Like, there's nothing about him that is redeemable or good. And not to mention, Lady Macbeth was the better answer in that movie. I'll say it a million times. She is cold, emotionless, the eyebrows alone. I never want to run into her. She is more responsible for the downfall of that main character than the fucking ghost lady is. The ghost lady, you just go to Vegas, like, yeah, put fucking like $100 on like 32 and you're rich. Like, I absolutely wanted to run into her. Because, like, I also know I'm not a dickhead, so I know how to treat people with respect. You can't reason with crazy raping murderer guys. You just can't. Avoid that shit like the plague. I want to be nowhere near it.
Time. I'm so sorry. I'm not supposed to break, but Kirk, 1 minute when you start talking.
I believe I gave enough evidence from the movie that Bill's character is not very intelligent. He's cowardly. He is not a very good fighter, and he is he's easy to see coming. He's predictable because how crazy he acts. You know what you're dealing with. So there are a lot of bandits, a lot of criminals, a lot of rapists, a lot of just unsavory people in Kurosawa's filmography that Bill could have picked. He picked one that, like I said, I don't want to be around this guy. I don't want to see him. But if in that situation, I can deal with it. Even if I get this guy on his best day, I could still run. Or I can still run away. I can hide. I have a chance. I have no chance with my character. Bill's, I guess, a perfect human being, has no darkness inside of him that this ghost could draw out. But that's what ghost does. She finds the darkness inside of these people, these characters, and she draws out their most darkest desires, and she puts the wheels into motion. And once the wheels are in motion, they're not going to stop. Bill thinks he can avoid them, stay away from them. She comes to you. She brings you to her. You can't avoid her. Much more scarier person you don't want to be around.
Time. Okay. Oh boy.
Before we get on to the ranking, point of order, Kirk, thank you. I have been dying to see Rashomon. It was fantastic.
That's why I do it.
Sorry. No.
I've only seen one Kurosawa movie before this.
What was it?
I take that back. It was not appropriate.
Hidden Fortress.
That's a good one.
I've also only seen one Akira movie, and it is Akira.
I see what you did there.
Okay. Brian, you are the first to go.
Oh, good. It might be decided. I don't have to do this.
Yeah, I went with Kirk again on this one. I think that from his opening, I think that he made a real strong case for why his would be the one you wouldn't want to meet. Not only because of the character and the personality of, but what it meant, the fact that you're encountering this person and that it meant that you were doomed. So I think that really swayed me into giving a whole nother dimension as to why I wouldn't want to meet his character.
This was really close for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like I thought Bill bullshitted his way through this in an incredible fashion. When Bill said the line about just don't be a shitty person, I thought that was genius. I still did go with Kirk because I think that at the end of the day, Kirk was able. It's just too strong of a. There are some times where we write questions that are more broad to give a lot of options, and there is a option like Kirk's character that he brought up that is just like, oh yeah, it's really hard to argue against that one. I think he picked a really strong one. It's hard to argue against. I think Bill did the best he could given those circumstances. But I think Kirk's answer was so strong, and then his knowledge of both films is just so insane that it was hard to beat him on that one. So I went with Kirk. Cody, where did you go?
I love my best friend a lot. This was not close at all. In my opinion, I've sat across the table and heard Kurosawa get thrown at me. This question is a lot harder than the one I got. I had to just go off quote. I didn't have to go off all the characters in Kurosawa. I went with Kirk overall. The fact is, it just seemed like, put him at the casino and blah, blah, blah. It just didn't matter. I knew it was doomed as soon as Kirk started the round. Goes, Bill, I'm going to tell you 7 things about your character. Is that okay? And when you agreed to it, I said, yikes. And that's where was resided. It was a brilliant strategy. It paid off. Yeah, and that's where it ended.
All right. Well, that does mean your winner is Kirk Kolkowski. So we're gonna start post-match interviews. We will start with Bill. Bill, great job today. I think
Was it though?
Yes, I think it was. I genuinely do. Kirk has played a lot of people, and I feel like I say this a lot, but I genuinely mean it every time I say it. I don't think the score represented the performance today. Debate is really tough because people look at the end of the scoreboard and see 4-1 and they just think, oh, well, Bill must have sucked. Well, no, it's not the case. There were a couple split decision questions. There was one where the votes all went to you. It's a tough game, and I think that you played really, really well today. If I was in this tournament next season, I'd be fucking terrified to see Bill on the other side of the card. What did you think of the match, and what are your thoughts out of it?
So I think I now know not to prep going forward. Clearly, when I go in with no fucking notes, I kill it. So, no, I really did. I put in a lot on this, watched a lot of these movies, retained none of it because I have like watched Kirk in debate. I know like what I was up against, and I did my best to prepare for that. But when you're there, it's a different story. There's a reason why this guy is probably, it's going to take a court order to get this belt off him. So it's fine. Yeah. It was a lot of fun though. I did better than I thought I would have, and we didn't actually start calling each other names. So I'll consider that impossibly respectful. So yeah,
that's fair. Bill, like I said, you're going to be in the tournament next year at the start of the season. Kirk might not be the champion by the time of the tournament because he will have to play another title match before the tournament starts. But you're going to be in the tournament. You're going to be playing somebody. Is there anybody that you want to see on the other side, considering you'll probably be a pretty high seed in this tournament?
All right, there's 3 people. Now 4. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I know names. So I feel like me and Cody would probably result in a lot of arrests, but it would be a lot of fun. That would definitely end in some name calling among other things. So that would be absolutely great. I feel like me and Mike Hanley would also be just hilarious. We all win. Who cares? So that is just so much fun. One of my good friends is in this league too, and I've never gotten to play him in anything. So like gun to my head, Amaru. I would love to be on the other side of that. That would be a hoot and a half. But the one I would really love to yell at is Koho. I feel like me and him would just be fucking brutal. So any one of those four, yes, please.
Well, the number one contender match at the beginning of next year is Cody versus Koho. The loser of that match will be in the tournament. The winner will not be because they'll be in the title match. So
yeah.
So any of those are definitely possible and on the table as we get into next season. Bill, really great job today. Thank you for being here. Let's move over to Kirk, who has just had a dominating season. Once again, Kirk, 2 seasons in a row now, you've just kind of like swept the table, and you're back for another one at the end of the year here. You're going into next season after, what is this, 5 or 4 defenses?
I think this is the 4th. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy shit, man. What are your thoughts?
All respect to Bill. I really prepped hard for this because, like I said, I did watch his matches. I've been watching him, since this started this year, and I did assume he'd be the guy I was playing, and I watched him just keep getting better and better. So I knew Bill was a threat, and I really my last 2 defenses. I started out 0-2 in the match, and I did not want to have that again. So I really put my nose to the ground. So I was nervous because of the order of the questions, because Bill the Butcher I knew was going to be tough to fight, and I knew he'd be ready for that nightmare. So I was the nightmare question. So I was really afraid I was staring down the gun at another 0-2 start. But I was able to get those, and Bill played great. Bill, he kept me on my toes. He threw stuff on me that I wasn't expecting in all 4 fights. So hats off to him. He's going to tear it up the tournament. I will not be shocked to see him competing against whoever the champion is next year. But yeah, I'm glad to just get through another one.
And now, like I've alluded to, we already know you're going to be playing at the beginning of next year either Cody again or Kaleb Koho. Koho has challenged for the title before, I think. Only once. I could be wrong about that, but I think I played him when I was the champion, but I think that was it. So Koho's actually never debated in a title match in Fanzone before. So you either get Cody again or you get Koho. Do you want someone new, or do you want round 2 with Cody? You're muted, but I'm assuming what you're saying is great.
I'd like to see round 2 against Cody. I know how bad he wants it. I know how bad that loss stung for him. And so he deserves it. He's a great debater, and and playing him was a lot of fun. So no offense to Koho, but I'd like to see. I'm rooting for Cody in that one.
It's okay to give offense to Koho. It's fine. Kirk, congrats on an awesome match. Really great shit this year. Great champion. We'll see you next year. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Brian, final thoughts.
Yeah, Kirk is just a hard one to beat to start with, but especially in a title match. Because when he puts his mind to something, really starts prepping for things, especially like I said, on things like plot questions, which he's been burned on before, and he really wants to make sure to twist that just right. And then when he gets to break out, some of his strengths like Akira Kurosawa, which a lot of people are not going to be able to stand up against him on just because of his pure knowledge, where he's schooling them on their choice, as you pointed out earlier. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next season. Be a lot of good matches.
Cody, final thoughts from you?
Yeah, it's a great match. Kirk did it again. I'm glad that Kirk did it again overall. Like, I think Bill had some moments in there for personal reasons. I'm glad that Kirk's still champion, but no, I think Bill is easily one that's going to be sitting at the end of that tournament and waiting. I think again, I think once a loss happens in this league, you look back and realize what mistakes you made and what things you could have done different, and you choose not to make those mistakes again. And I think that's the best thing for you. But speaking of that, losses do help people, and Koho is just a stepping stone. I promise you, it will be me versus Kirk 2, and I can't wait. And if it goes south again, people might not see me for a while. That's all I'll say.
All right, that was a great match. Thank you for everybody that was here. Kirk, Bill, Cody, Brian. Special thanks to again Cody, Brian, Kirk. You guys have helped judge a lot this season. Helped me out a lot, making this really fun and a great thing to do. So I want to thank you guys for doing that. And thank you to all the players who have played this year. It's been a really fun season. We'll be back next season with a bang, like I said, with that contender match to open up the season. But don't go away. We got more on the final act. Next up in video 2, we got the Fandom singles title is on the line. Joe Farrelly is playing his team partner, David Garcia. And then I believe the Warzone teams match is coming in. Clash of Demon Head is challenging Ginyu Force in video 2. And then video 3, you'll see the teams title for Fandom and the singles title for Warzone. So keep watching. We'll see you guys real soon with the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.
There we go. Thank you very much. Please come again. We have a lot more groceries.